Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Palm Springs Baker. And I am here to tell you, we are really over the moon today. We have someone from Hollywood that is from an iconic family. We have none other than the son of Harpo Marx, Bill Marx. Bill, it is so great to have you here today. We love it. We have got something of your dad's, and here it is. I barely want to touch this. This is Harpo Marx's wig. I mean, right here. My God, this should be like in a bag, air sealed.
It is.
My God, it's amazing. And this is what he wore in so many scenes. My gosh. I mean, there was that classic scene, Bill. We're going to get to you because he's got a life you won't believe. But his dad was in that classic scene with Lucille Ball. Tell me a little bit about that, Bill. I think you were there that day that they shot it.
I was. It was back in 1955, I believe, and it was shot at Desilu Productions. It's quite memorable to me because they did a scene from vaudeville that is called the mirror scene. And everybody puts their own spin on it. And in this particular case, the mirror scene originally occurred at a movie called Duck Soup, where Groucho and Harpo did this particular fabulous bit. When Dad and Lucy did it on the I Love Lucy show, it was a real stretch for my dad, and they had to rehearse it quite a bit because Lucy played the part of Dad, and Dad had to play the part of Groucho. So it was a flip for my dad, and it is a memorable. And the other thing I'd like to mention about how proud I am of the fact that I was my dad's arranger conductor by the time I was 15 years old, 16. Yeah. But what happened is that my dad's favorite song, and mine too, is a song called "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
Oh.
And it's been my metaphor for my life because baseball is a solo sport. You have to be able to do something all by yourself, and at the same time you have to be a team player. And he did my arrangement of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" on that show.
Oh my gosh.
Just prior to the mirror sequence.
Really? We've got a lot more stories from Bill, but what do you say we start doing a little baking and we'll come back with more stories?
That's what's the reason I'm here.
Well, and you know what else, kiddo? We have to have a little martini. So here's to you and your dad, Bill and Harpo. And so when we talked on the phone the other day, I said, well, so Bill, what? I'm going to put this down very carefully. I said, what should we make? And right away you said, how about a carrot cake? And I said, okay, we'll make a carrot cake. We'll get going. We gotta start with our wet ingredients, not the martinis. We aren't gonna throw any martinis in there. We'd like to, right? But we're gonna start with a lot of sugar, and don't worry about all the ingredients and the amounts and everything. It's all there on my website, thepalmspringsbaker.com, that you see right at the bottom of the screen. We're gonna mix all that sugar with some oil, all the wet things. How are you at breaking eggs, Bill?
And 2 hard-boiled eggs.
Oh, hard-boiled? There we go. There. Well, you're a professional.
There we go. I got
You've done this before.
Do I do one more?
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to incorporate all those wet ingredients with this mixer. You want to take the wheel here?
Just have a go at
There
it.
you go. Look at you. I bet, do you cook or bake or anything in the kitchen?
I used to,
Did you?
but since the fire, I haven't done it.
What do you think your dad would say if he knew you were baking a cake today?
He never spoke.
Well, that's true. What am I saying? You know, Harpo never spoke. You talked about your dad being just such a kind person. And you just, I remember how you emphasized, and I think a lot of that rubbed off on you, kiddo, I'm telling you. But he was just, everybody loved him, didn't they?
He died without an enemy,
Yeah.
and I hope I die without an enema.
Well, an enema. Okay, well, we will make sure you don't have to have that, you know? Well, now we're gonna mix up our dry ingredients. So we've got the flour in here, and then we're gonna add to that some pineapple, grated carrots. You wanna stir that up a little bit?
I'd love to stir it up.
Well, you're a baseball player, and so I bet you've got a good arm.
I struck out 3 batters in a row, and the game hadn't even started.
Now we're gonna put the wet in here. All those wet ingredients we just had,
Yeah.
remember? And we'll get this all mixed up. I'm gonna have you add a few more dry ingredients in there.
Okay.
This is baking soda. And then we have a little cinnamon. So we had the baking soda, but we're gonna add more kosher salt. I know your mother was an actress, and so did she have time to be home in the kitchen, Bill?
No, she hated acting.
Did she?
Yeah, and she was a pretty good actress, but she really wanted to get out of show business, get married, and have a family.
But, Father, isn't he handsome?
Yes, but I'll fix that. Come on, dear, we must take it on the lamb.
And she finally found my dad, and it took her 4 years to get my dad to say, I do.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Well, is it
It's all
correct?
in her book, and wherever her book is.
Let's look at that.
This is her autobiography.
Gorgeous. Susan Fleming.
I suppose the reason I'm really here today is it's a brand new book. It's just out, and it's gotten wonderful reviews. I get nothing in return for it except the joy that people are getting out of this book. It's about the 5th Marx brother, Zeppo, who people don't know too much about. But let me just tell you that he is quite a character. Everything that you can imagine, that he was an inventor, he was an actor. He lived down here in the Springs. He lived and had a boat on Salton Sea. He was from a gambling standpoint tied to the mob. So it's really a curious book, and I highly recommend it. It's called Zeppo by Robert S. Bader.
And it must be available everywhere, right, Bill?
It is
Amazon.
now. Yeah, you can get it anywhere.
Yeah.
Except me. This is the only copy I have. This is one of the finest autobiographies of show business, and it's still going strong. In 1961, my dad wrote this book called Harpo Speaks. It is a remarkable book. Nobody has had anything bad to say about it. just like Dad. Now, this is my book, and this is Son of Harpo Speaks, and I wrote this in 2007. It's more of a story about my relationship with my dad. I was his arranger conductor at a very early age. He had the kind of confidence in me that I never had in myself. And he pushed me, and he made me do things I never thought I could do.
I'm gonna get my copies, I'll tell you that much. And then you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get this cake going again, all right?
God, that's gooky.
Isn't that gooky? I know. So Bill, I got one more job for you before we get this into the pans though.
Oh no.
We have nuts and we have raisins there. And they've been dusted with flour. How about that? We'll fold this quickly and a little gently. I will pour this batter in there evenly between 4 pans. We've got the oven at 350 and we're gonna bake them for about 55 minutes. We're gonna make the frosting for that cake that's in the oven, okay? So we're gonna start with a lot of confectioner's sugar. We're gonna put in here some mascarpone cheese, some cream cheese. We're gonna try to mash this in here a little bit. We're gonna put a little vanilla in there. We're gonna put a little bit of kosher salt, and that is heavy cream. Stand back and turn. We're gonna whip this all up and get it nice and smooth and incorporated, and then we are going to frost the cake. You know, we just got this all frosted now, Bill. Well, how do you think that looks?
It's remarkable.
And what do you think of those fancy schmancy little carrot curls?
Those are wonderful also because they're, what is it, 14 carats?
14 carat cake, exactly. You got it, buddy.
It's beautiful. It
I
really,
know.
Did you know that it is my favorite of any cakes at all or pastries is carrot cake.
How did we know?
I don't know.
How did we know? You know, and those little carrot curls things, they're really easy to make. I'll show you on my website, but all you do is slice the carrots, cook them up on the stove briefly in simple syrup, let them lay out, put them in the oven, wrap them around the end of a little dowel like this, sugar them, and they're done.
You just told everybody how to do it.
You could do that, right, kiddo?
I could.
I know. Well, you could do it. I know you could. You know what, though? I got one more question to ask you. Your dad was interviewed by Edward R. Murrow out here in Palm Springs, and it was a classic show.
Person to person.
Oh, tell us the story.
It was a show where they did it at El Rancho Harpo, which was my dad's home.
He had a home out here.
He built it, yeah, and right next to Tamarisk. The show was about Dad and Mom taking everybody around the house itself, and they wound up in the kitchen. And Mom and Dad were in the kitchen, and it was a very modest but lovely kitchen. But if you ever get a chance, it's on YouTube. Go take a look at it.
Oh my God.
It's called Person to Person, Harpo Marx.
Oh.
And you'll be able to see the kitchen that Mom and Dad used to kitch in. Oh my God.
You know,
Oh my Lord.
it's kind of moist, isn't it? You like it?
Better than Wonder Bread. There's one other picture I'd love to show you.
Yes.
We did this at a charity event where they showed Dad playing the harp, a song called Alone from Night at the Opera. And I'm playing along with him live.
You know, and I know you don't want to talk about it a whole real lot. You're very, very understated, but he is a very accomplished musician. He composes, he has put together soundtracks for movies. You did the soundtracks for your dad, played the harp, pianist. I mean, Mr. Music, you really are. My God, kiddo. I wish you'd perform out here again. Oh my God, and I can't believe you brought your dad's wig. You want to do the honors, Bill? Oh, Bill Marx, we are so happy to have had you here today. Thank you, my new best friend. Oh my God. And as we say at the end of every show, be good, be you, and bake.